Hey, what is up, mortals? It is. Welcome to part 2 season 1 of What If Deku Was Trained by Aizawa. I just wanted to greet you guys by just saying, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So, we begin. The day was young and dusk had just barely broken out. Aizawa stood in front of the forest that Izuku and Bakugo had played in as kids. Over the years it had been polluted slowly but surely. Its once beautiful view now tarnished with the leftovers of man. Holding out his wrist, the man pulled his sleeve up his arm and looked at his watch. He has 5 minutes left. The man lowered his arm and looked out to the streets of Musutafu. Not too far away, Izuku was running towards the forest. Aizawa had failed to mention exactly where Izuku was to meet him, but the sight of his teacher standing just outside of the forest relieved the boy. Sensei Aizawa. The green-haired boy came to a halt near Aizawa, leaning forward to catch his breath. You're 5 minutes early, why were you running? Aizawa asked in a curious tone. Didn't want to be late. The boy continued to catch his breath. Is that so? Aizawa asked, raising an eyebrow. You've got your priorities straight, kid, but try to save your energy for the training. Aizawa spoke in a firm tone and Izuku nodded. Yes, Sensei Aizawa. In contrast to the previous day, he didn't look so tired. In fact, the man looked like he was taking his midday break, even though it was morning. If you don't mind me asking, what are we doing here, Sensei Aizawa? Izuku asked, now standing up straight. You'll see, follow me. Aizawa turned to face the forest before promptly walking towards it. Izuku quickly followed behind him. A few moments later, Aizawa and Izuku were standing in the middle of the forest, surrounded by a mixture of trees and rubbish that consisted of small plastics, broken cutlery, broken ornaments, broken appliances, and even broken vehicles. The sight of it all broke Izuku's heart. Over the course of the next 2 years, the hero paused, thinking hard for a second while Izuku looked at him. What was your full name again? Aizawa asked in a sheepish tone, to which Izuku responded with a smile. Midoriya. Izuku Midoriya. Aizawa nodded and continued to talk. You Midoriya. We'll be cleaning this forest as a form of physical training on weekends. Aizawa turned to face the boy, waving his right hand in the air, motioning to their surrounding area. This idea confused Izuku. Why do you want me to clean the forest? Izuku asked, and Aizawa smiled like he had been hoping that Izuku would ask that question. You see, Midoriya, I want you to train to use your own piece of the material I use as a scarf. Aizawa paused, reaching up to his neck and tugging at the fabric that was lightly surrounding it. This forest, although dirty, is the safest place outside of UA that I can take you to train. The hero's voice took on a monotone voice and his smile faded. Cleaning this place will not only make the forest usable, but it'll increase your endurance in the process. Izuku's eyes widened. I see. So you want me to clean the forest so I can get stronger and use the trees. The boy raised his hand and pinched his chin in between his index finger and thumb, and shortly after repeating what Aizawa had said, which annoyed the hero, he began to mumble. Which means you are also going to teach me how to maneuver around with the scarf. Izuku, being a longtime fan of Aizawa, who to the boy's dismay did a very good job at staying unnoticed and out of the public eye, was well aware that he used his scarf to move about and gain a huge advantage in combat. Aizawa cleared his throat, bringing Izuku out of his mumbling fit. Correct. I will be teaching you how to maneuver with the scarf. However, Aizawa paused. Reaching down to the ground, he picked up a tin can. You will assort all the cans into different piles based on size and weight. I will provide bags for storage. Once all the cans in an area have been sorted out, you will move to bigger stuff. Aizawa paused again while reaching into his pocket and pulling out a black rubbish bag. You'll start now. Aizawa dropped the bag on the floor and put the can down on it as a weight. After that, he pulled out a roll of trash bags out of the same pocket. Yes, Sensei Aizawa. Izuku immediately turned around and began to pick up all the cans one by one while Aizawa pulled on the material around the neck, flinging part of it around the branch of a tree just above him, and pulled himself up. Over the course of the next few weekends and even the odd afternoon after school, Izuku would meet with Aizawa at the forest and clean away at the rubbish. The boy didn't understand why his teacher wanted him to make sure everything went together, but he didn't question his teacher, eventually moving on to some of the bigger and heavier stuff. Aizawa made sure to keep a close eye, and in the midst of it all he was preparing a new sleeping schedule, diet, and workout for the young boy. Simply lifting things up and moving them out of the forest wouldn't suffice. So a little bit over a month since Izuku had started, he began the schedule. Izuku was to ensure that he got enough food in his system, and his sleeping schedule would consist of 6 hours total, sleeping from 10 o'clock at night to 4 o'clock in the morning, which Aizawa had been doing for a little over a decade. On his afternoons where he wasn't cleaning rubbish, Izuku would be going on jogs according to his mother. In reality, he was sprinting most of the way, and on other afternoons Aizawa was teaching him martial arts. On his days off, Izuku was tasked with playing problem-solving games of any sort. Whether it be a board game or a video game, Aizawa wanted Izuku to increase his hand-eye coordination. With all that having been integrated over the course of 2 months for his young 12-year-old body, a year came to pass and Izuku had cleaned a good chunk of the forest. Intermission. Honey. This video was sponsored by Honey. Honey is a free browser add-on available on Google, Opera, Firefox, Safari. If it's a browser, it is Honey. Honey automatically saves you money when you check out on sites like Amazon, Papa John's, and Kohl's. Wherever you shop, it's a good chance that Honey can save you money. All you have to do when you're checking out at these big sites is click that little orange button, and it will scan the entire internet and find discount codes for you. It takes 2 clicks to install Honey. Now anytime you check out, Honey will scan the whole internet and find coupon codes for you. If there is a coupon code, they will find it, and if there's not a coupon code, you can rest assured that you are getting the best price possible. If you install Honey right now, you can save so much money on your online shopping doing nothing. There's no reason not to install Honey. It takes 2 clicks, 10 million people use it, 100,000 5-star reviews. Unless you hate money, you should install Honey. Use the link in the description to start saving money now. Continuation. The door to Izuku's third-year class at Aldera Junior High opened up and his teacher entered the class. The students had been talking and continued to talk regardless of the teacher that had just entered. Quiet down now, kids. The teacher spoke in a somewhat firm yet lazy tone. The students slowly quietened down in response. Now, as you might know, this is your third and final year at Aldera Junior High. The teacher paused, waving a handful of worksheets in the air. The students all nodded and the teacher continued. I'd hand these all out. The teacher paused again, turning around and throwing the papers into the air. But I know you all want to become heroes. The teacher exclaimed the words and the students all let out their own shouts of approval, each one showing their various quirks except for Bakugo Katsuki, who sat with his legs on the table, and Izuku, who lay asleep on his arms, ignorant of what the teacher was saying. Now, your quirks are flashy, but settle down, kids. You know the school rules. The teacher pushed his glasses further up his nose, turning to face the class again and looking through some papers, a thud causing him to look up again. Don't lump me in with these extras, teach. Bakugo had jumped onto his desk and was now pointing at himself. I'm going to UA, and I am going to be the best hero and surpass All Might. The other students all let out grunts of annoyance and otherwise pulled faces at Bakugo. That's not nice, Bakugo. We all stand a chance at getting into a hero course. One student responded, not daring to say UA due to the glaring truth that Bakugo's quirk and overall performance was far greater than anyone there. Keep dreaming. With a lousy finger extending quirk like that, what are you gonna do? Bakugo taunted, causing the student to cower back into his seat. Noticeably, the teacher didn't do anything about this. I see one other student has applied for UA. The teacher continued as if nothing had happened and Bakugo wasn't standing on his table. Izuku Midoriya. The class went silent, so silent that the sound of a pencil dropping could frighten someone. Slowly, the class all turned their heads to face Izuku, who was still sleeping on his arms. Oi, you damn nerd, Bakugo roared, jumping over the table of the student next to him and marching to Izuku's table. What? The roar woke the green-haired boy up. Raising his head up, Izuku removed his arms from his desk just in time for Bakugo to slam his hand onto it with an explosion. I heard you applied for UA. The blonde was fuming, and the whole class looked ready to laugh. Yeah, so what if I am? Izuku responded, which caught the whole class by surprise. It was just 2 years ago that Izuku would cower and mutter every time Bakugo would even look at him. And now, despite looking heavily sleep-deprived, the emerald green-eyed boy was staring his childhood friend and bully dead in the eyes, which the class and even Bakugo were yet to even get used to. There is no way a quirkless extra like you will make it into UA, Bakugo exclaimed, raising his hands into the air with small explosions detonating in his palms. None of the class dared to even chime in. Izuku was a boy that, despite being quirkless, outperformed them in so many ways they wouldn't dare make fun of him anymore. The boy could defend himself. He was strong, fast, and smart. Even Bakugo was aware of this. Now, Mr. Katsuki, please refrain from using your quirk. The teacher's words went unheard by the explosive blonde and the tired greenin. They both just stared at each other in what some of their classmates depicted as a staring contest. Shortly after, Bakugo relented and returned to his seat in a huff while Izuku went back to sleeping on his now charred desk. The bell rang, signaling the end of the school day. The students all hurriedly left the class while Izuku slowly packed his stuff away, eyeing Bakugo, who was approaching his desk with his goons. What is it now, Kachin? Izuku asked, standing up and sliding his bag over his shoulder. Bakugo, in response to this, slammed his hand on Izuku's desk a second time. I'll be damned if you make it into UA, you damn nerd. Izuku, in response to this, just furrowed his eyebrows. I'll make it into UA, Kachin, Izuku responded in a tired yet confident tone, the glow of someone who is determined forming in his eyes. Why this little? Bakugo became enraged, walking around Izuku's desk at an accelerated pace. Bakugo held out his hand to grab Izuku's collar. Izuku, in response to this, backed away to the window of the classroom. See you tomorrow, Kachin. Izuku forced a smile and climbed through the window, intentionally letting himself fall a bit before grabbing onto the wall and climbing down. Get back here, Deku. Bakugo roared as Izuku reached the base of the wall and began to walk off. I'll get him later. Bakugo heaved a sigh and waved a hand in the air, signaling his goons to follow him as he began to walk outside the classroom. Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed. Before you leave, we would just like to let you know that We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. That's all for today's video, so goodbye and have a divine day.